With John McMullen, I'm Johnny McDonald. You got Mac and Mac holding down Birds 365 here for you this summer. Not much going on in the Eagles world. In the NFL in general, it's the downtime. So how do you create some conversation about the National Football League at this time? Put together a list. Rankings, ratings, having some fun, putting guys in specific orders. And John is doing just that with his buddy Ed Kratz, who's going to join us coming up in about 15 minutes from now on the 25 best Philadelphia Eagles on their roster going into the season. And John and Ed are doing it right here, right now, which means we don't know that these guys are going to be Philadelphia Eagles. By the time we get to training camp, there could be additions, there could be subtractions. You never know, but you do it in a moment and you put them in a specific order and you have some fun talking about it. As per the top 25 from the bottom up, Ed and John had Kenny Gainwell at number 5, Nick Morrow at number 24, Reed Blankenship number 23, and Terrell Edmonds at number 22. I felt bad that John's doing all this work, even though Ed's probably doing the heavy lifting.
Actually,
so I said,
I'm doing
I got
the heavy lifting. Come on, I'm doing the math. The math
You
is
are?
the hard part.
You
Math. Not too much math conversation today. I apologize.
Kratz palmed that off on you and made you do the addition and subtraction and division, I should say.
Yeah.
So I felt bad. So I said, all right, I got to come up with my own top 25 list. So I did. Couple different at the bottom. I had Zach Mack on my list. I think that he's going to get a chance to play both inside and outside this year. Now, there's a chance that the Eagle corners will all stay healthy and Zach Mack will be a special teamer only. But somehow Avonte Maddox always seems to get hurt. So I think Zach Mack is going to actually be a bit of a contributor this year. And I put Kristen Ellis on instead of Nicholas Morrow because I don't have faith that Nicholas Morrow is going to be a starting Eagle linebacker. Now, you can't rate Patrick Queen, the guy who I will continue to beat the drum for, that I think the Eagles should acquire until they acquire him. So you can't put him on the list. So I think there's a good chance that Christian Ellis could end up playing more than Nicholas Morrow. Funny that I had the same exact two guys that John and Ed had, just in different order. I put Terrell Edmonds at 23 and Reed Blankenship at 22. John and Ed had Blankenship at 23 and the other starting safety, if he ends up being a starting safety, which I think he will, Terrell Edmonds at 22. So we agreed that the safety slotted in there just in reverse order. All right, John, at number 21 on your list, and we're 3 deep today because the weekend included. You guys are coming out with a new guy every single day. 21 on your list is who?
Jake Elliott, baby. Kickers count. 21, Jake Elliott. I always say everything's about definitions, right? So this list is about the best players on the Eagles, and that means, to me, it means the best at their particular jobs, and kickers count. And to be honest, he might be, even I have a little bit of a kicker conundrum when you're talking about best football players, but you could argue he should be higher on the list. But he certainly deserves to be on the list. Been incredibly consistent. Was a 5th round pick of Cincinnati for people who forgot back in 2017. Lost out to Randy Bullock at the time. Big mistake, Cincinnati. Came here. A lot of people argue Caleb Sturgis got hurt, for those who don't remember, and Jake Elliott took over, never gave the job back. Was that
Sturgis
60?
Wasn't bad. He wasn't a bad kicker.
No, he had one good year. Then he kind of struggled a little bit. Jake came in. It was late September. He made that 61-yard field goal against the Giants.
Right.
A lot of people say that was the sort of lift-off towards the Super Bowl. That was obviously an Eagles record. At the time, it was the 7th longest kick, I think, in history. It was the 3rd longest game-winning walk-off kick in history. He just had a tremendous rookie season, set the franchise record for the longest postseason kick against Atlanta. 2 longest Super Bowl kicks for a rookie ever in the Super Bowl. And he's just been incredibly consistent. He had one bad season, 2020, like everybody. Doug Peterson's like, he was bad. And then he bounced right back. Basically, 83 to 90% field goal percentage every year. Already has the record for most 50-yard field goals. Lapped David Akers early in that category. He's just a great kicker. And he's one of the best players on this team, but he plays kicker. So, but he deserves to be on this list. And I would argue, you just took out the importance, and it's tough to do. And importance should be involved. It's hard, and especially for this Eagles team, because they want to go for it all the time, even with a good kicker. But to have a consistent kicker when you have to kick it, it's really important. And he's been lights out. He's been really, really good.
Now, I'm pretty sure you and I, and Ed, as a matter of fact, look at it the same way in trying to put this list together. It's the importance of the player and how good he is as compared to his other teammates, and how good he is compared to the other players in the league that play his position. So it's a combination of those two things. Where does he fit as an Eagle? Where does he fit as a kicker? Jake Elliott fits pretty high on both of those lists. So he's going to be on my list, slightly higher than where you guys had him, but he's definitely on my list. All right, who do you have at number 20 if Jake Elliott's number 21?
Well, on here, I'm going to contradict myself, because it becomes complete projection here, almost complete projection. And Nakobe Dean came in at number 20. Now, on my personal list, I had Jake one spot ahead of Nakobe for that reason. But Ed kind of bumped him up a little bit. I think, the hope is that the Georgia Nakobe Dean comes in to Philadelphia. He certainly showed the instincts that we all have been told about in a very limited time frame when he played in this 34 snaps last season. But yeah, that one's a little bit projection. But I do think he's going to be a very good player. And he comes, and for the Eagles' sake, he better become a very good player. I think when we're talking about this list next year, he's going to be much higher than number 20. So bit of a projection, but Nakobe comes in at number 20.
I think you got to do that. If you're not doing projection, then you're going to be right, having a list that's at the end of the year, you're going to go, whoa, how do we have this guy this high? How do we have this guy that low? He played much better. It's a balancing act. You got to balance against what they already have achieved and what you think they're going to achieve for the upcoming season. Yeah, there's a pretty good projection on Nakobe Dean, and not surprising, my projection is higher than the combination of yours and Ed's. He's on my list. I haven't gotten there just yet. All right, and who do you have at number 19, Johnny Mac?
Georgia, number 19 is Jordan Davis. We've talked about him a lot on this show. I think there's a lot of a weird sort of assumption that he didn't play well last season. The biggest issue with Jordan Davis was not that he didn't play well. The conditioning issues that we all worried about came into play. Then the injury came into play, the high ankle sprain. Then they brought in Linval Joseph, and the Eagles were in Super Bowl or bust mode when Linval came in, and they just defaulted to the veteran player. And when Jordan came back, he wasn't 100%, but he got better and better, got healthier and healthier. And when he was on the field, he played well for his job. I think PFF had him 27 of 120 something. Solid. Didn't play a lot. And there's a couple reasons, and he talked about this to Jordan Davis's credit. That's the one thing about Georgia. I saw Brian Baldinger talking about this. I don't know if it's this strict, but I'll just say what Baldy said. He said at Georgia, and I didn't watch every game, so I don't know if this is the case, but it's close. all their defensive linemen never played more than 4 consecutive snaps at one time. I don't know if it's that degree, but they rotated a lot. So everybody from Trayvon Walker, who was the #1 pick in the 2022 draft, to Jalen Carter, who was arguably the best, most talented player in this draft. Everybody on that defensive line, Nolan Smith, everybody didn't play a lot when it came to numbers. And I think that's a bigger deal with Jordan because he's 350 pounds. So he to his credit, he said the 2 things he had to work on were strength and conditioning. And because he's got to play, he played 250, 60, somewhere in that range. He's got to play over 700 snaps this year. If he's healthy, you hope health. Remember that number, he missed a month. So that number's really would have been, you add 100 snaps, what really would have been about 360, 350, 360. If he stayed healthy. So I'm saying through 17 games, if he's out there, that number's got to double essentially. Can he have that conditioning? The hope is he can. They don't have the safety net, at least yet, for his position. And then the second part, you and I have talked about this ad nauseum, Jody. People have to understand his role. So for people looking for big tackle numbers and big sack numbers, that's not his role. His role is to make things easier for Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat and Brandon Graham and Nolan Smith and Nakobe Dean and Nicholas Morrow or Christian Ellis, whomever is playing linebacker. That's his role, and he does it effectively. He's another guy who should be higher on next year's list.
I think you're a little optimistic on the number of snaps he's going to play this year, because if I'm a betting guy, at some point Jordan Davis is going to get hurt again. We'll see. If he plays 17 straight games, I'll give my mea culpas at the end of the year, but I'm going to say he's going to miss a little time. And I think even though with Javon Hargrave out, they've still got depth at the tackle position. I don't know if they're going to increase his numbers that much. But here's what I liked most about Jordan Davis last year. And you're right, John. Your own way of evaluating and trusting Pro Football Focus and the like. Jordan Davis comes in, plays well early. Eagles are stout against the run. Get him off the field. Keep his participation limited to first down. Things were going well till he got hurt. Then he came back and had to build up his stamina, get his conditioning. End of the year, when, he had basically lost snaps to a veteran, Linval Joseph came in to replace him while he was hurt. I think he played much more motivated. I think he took a challenge and played better at the end of the year because, oh, shoot, I got hurt. And all of a sudden, I wasn't playing all that much to begin with. Now I'm even playing less. I better make plays while I'm out there. That buoyed me. So that's why I, like you, have Jordan Davis in the exact same spot, number 19. You had Jake Elliott at 21. I've got him at 20. I've got him slightly higher. The guy I had at 21, and you guys haven't run him down yet, you're going to have to stay tuned to find out if he is in the top 18 for John and Ed. I think Milton Williams is going to be a factor. That's one of the reasons why I don't know that Jordan Davis is going to make that 700 and change snap mark that you think. Milton kind of had a major step-up year last year. This is his contract year. I think the coaching staff likes him a great deal. I like the fact that he can go both inside and outside. The Eagles don't really need him as much outside because they've got enough pass rushing edge guys. But kind of like Brandon Graham, he can go both inside and outside, best inside more so than outside. But the flexibility adds to what he can deliver for this team. I got Milton Williams on my list. I got him at number 21.
Well, I can give you, he is on our list. Milton's going to be on the list.
So you got Milton even higher than I do.
Yeah, I like Milton. Milton's a very good player, but I will say this. If Milton's taking snaps away from Jordan Davis, things are not going well. Things are not going how they're projected to be. They play 2 completely different positions. That's one of my issues and why Jordan Davis is so important. And you saw it with Javon Hargrave, year one of the Jonathan Gannon defense versus year two. Year one, he had to play a lot of nose tackle, a lot of one technique, a lot of shade technique. Not good at it. And he honestly played too much of it last year. Not good at it as a run defender. Great three technique, 4-eye. That's where Milton's got to be. Fletcher, same way. That's the problem. As deep as they are at defensive tackle, Fletcher Cox, Milton Williams, if you want to go down, even if you want to go down to Contavious Street, who's an NFL level player, and they signed him to be depth, and you don't necessarily need it. And Jalen Carter, obviously, most notably, they all can't do what Jordan does. They're all different players. Jalen's probably the best equipped. Jalen could probably do anything, but and if forced, they would probably put Jalen. But they want Noah Ellis or somebody of that nature to be the backup. And that's why where people always brought up, well, they brought in Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh when Jordan got hurt. I never say Ndamukong Suh because Ndamukong Suh wasn't playing Jordan's position.
Yeah, he's not playing his position either.
Linval was. He plays a different position than those guys. Jalen Carter could persevere, so I'm not as concerned, and he'll probably do it better than Javon did. But they're two completely different positions. They really are.
So then let me ask you this question, and we're going to punch up Ed Kratz, the other compiler of the list that John and Ed have going on SportsIllustrated.com. What's the chance that they reach out to Linval Joseph come mid-September, October, November? Linval's doesn't want to show up for camp, wants to come in at some point. He'll keep himself in shape. You just check on him and make sure he's doing that. But if they're that position specific, the attributes necessary to play that position of the concept that the Eagles play on their defensive line, any chance that even though they have as many quote unquote defensive tackles as they do they want to reach out?
Well, Marlin too. I should have brought up Marlin. Marlin's a guy, for all the talk about they brought in Linval because Jordan got hurt. Yes, but also Marlin got hurt as well. And that factored into it. So Marlon Tuipulotu is a part of it as well. Noah Ellis. If Noah craps the bed, he's not a good player, which is, we haven't seen him. He tore his Achilles last year. He's back. He was at practice for the first time at that second OTA. If Marlon's not healthy coming from a PCL injury, yeah, I mean, Linval's on speed dial. But those are the guys that have to play nose tackle in the 50 front. You don't want, if you got Milt Williams playing that, something's gone drastically wrong.
How many, if you know off the top of your head, and Eddie will get to you, we promise, percentage of snaps they played that 50 front last year?
I don't have, I can.
I'm just asking you to give me off the top of your head.
It's probably 30%, somewhere in that range.
So it's not an insignificant number, but it's not 50% either.
No, it's a first and second down.
It is kind of specialized.
And that's the argument with Jordan Davis. Look, people are going to say to be the number 13 overall pick, you can't be a 2-down player. We hear that all the time. You have to be a 3-down player. I hear it. I understand why people say that. But, from the argument, I've heard some really smart people, Paul Domowitch being one. I think Ed Kratz is smarter than me, that he could be this great pass rusher. But if you're the Philadelphia Eagles, and I've heard Damo specifically say, kick him outside because he's so athletic. Hey, he's so raw. And you want to take away reps from who? Reddick, Sweat, Graham, Smith, legitimate edge rushers for a raw guy because he's a great athlete? Doesn't make any sense to me. If he turns in to Haloti Ngata, that's the comp I always give, or Vita Vea, I 13's, I'm fine with 13.
And John and I, if you're just tuning in here to Birds 365, we got off on a tangent. Now we're number one about math. that when math takes over, it's a bad thing in sports, NFL, whatever else. I'll do you a little math right here, right now. You said that you think the Eagles were in 50 about 30% of the time. But then you said Davis can't be a 2-down player. It's got to be a 3-down player. If he's
I
playing,
didn't say that. I said a lot of people said
a lot of
that,
people,
me.
not you said that. Right. I don't want to misquote you. You said a lot of people said. If you're only in the defense that he's stellar at 30% of the time, he's not a 2-down player, he's a 1-down player. If you continually put the other team in 2nd and 12, guess what? He's off the field on 2nd and 12.
Yeah, and guess what? If you're in 2nd and 12 or 3rd and 10, the Eagles will take that, man, and they will be happy.
Pretty good overall success if you're putting the other team in that kind of situation. Possession in, possession out. All right, Ed Kratz is waiting. He's good to us. We're good to him. I'm going to pick holes in his list that he's made with John McMullen when he joins us next. We'll have some fun with Ed Kratz here on Birds 365.